Mm-hmm. Good evening. Can you hear me, Glenn?
Good evening, one and all. Good evening, Mr. Glenn Love, Mr. Kemal King, Ms. Kiana Wilbur. Good evening, viewers and listeners all across Guyana. We are live on this evening, Wednesday evening, the Glenn Lall Show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode. We were last here on Sunday evening. We are back to talk about some of the very important things that matters to all Guyanese, that ought to matter to each and every Guyanese right across this country, and even if you're overseas, must matter to you. And that is the greatest importance of the extractive industry of Guyana, especially oil, the big thing. Ladies and gentlemen, just before we get into that discussion with oil today, I just want to remind you that on Sunday evening, we would have heard from Mr. Glenn Lall quite a number of very, very interesting points, very interesting subject matter we dealt with, and of course, some of the details he shared was not just informative, but was also educational. I would encourage you to continue to tune in. Let us listen to what Mr. Lall has to say. I sit here as one of you, the Guyanese people who want to learn, who want to listen, and who want to observe what's going on here. Let me just take a moment to remind all of you that on Sunday night when we had our discussion, we discussed the giving away, well, the giving away might be the right word, but the oil blocks, what happened then, and we discussed primarily, we mentioned two blocks, and that would have been the Kanji block and the Kaieteur block. Tonight, I want to invite Mr. Glenn Lall on this Glenn Lall show to share with us some more pertinent information with regards to these Kaieteur blocks and the Kanji block, remembering that he said, this thing is humongous. Mr. Lall, welcome to this evening's show, sir. Welcome to the Glenn Lall show. And just before I hand over to you to talk about oil, sir, if you don't mind, no disrespect meant to you, but I have a question to ask you on behalf of the viewers and listeners of Guyana, sir.
Yes.
I know we are here to discuss oil.
Yeah.
But I would like to ask you, Mr. Lall, are you backing, associated with, or affiliated with any political parties or any political person, sir?
No. At this moment, I am not affiliated with any political parties. And that's what it is. That's what.
Thank you, sir. And one last question, just before we get into our main discussion tonight, sir. Mr. Glenn Lall, do you have anything? A lot of things have been said across this by a number of persons in many places, especially political persons, that you may have a personal disagreement, but the word personal was used in the disagreement. That you might have a personal disagreement with people like former President, now Vice President Mahadeo, former President Granger, now opposition leader Harman. Sir, do you have a personal problem with these respective gentlemen?
All right. That's a nice question. I would like to talk about it a little. You talk about former President Mahadeo. Mahadeo, for me, is a good-looking guy. Mahadeo, in my dealings with him, I find him to be a very smart guy. We have been friends. And I have nothing personal against any political leaders. I got a little upset the very first time in 2007, I think it was 2007, with Mr. Mahadeo, when the government built a school under his presidency in Wakenham, a place where I came from. That school, I still recall the dimension of it, 30 by 90 by 60. It's an L-shaped, flat concrete building. When I read the Kaieteur news and saw the price that the government paid for that building, I recall vividly that afternoon. I called him and I asked him, because at the set time, I had just finished building a home for one of my staff. And if you put the 2 floors together, it's bigger than the school. And that home cost me under 5 million Guyana dollars. And here we are. I am looking at a building, a flat building, for $50 million. I immediately, before I spoke to Jagdev, I called the headmaster. And I said, Chief, give me the length, give me the breadth, give me the size of the building. And when I did the maths, my contractor said, Glenn, I could build it for $11 million. And I called Mr. Jagdev and I said, bro, what's happening here? And he says, Glenn, his exact words to me, I never forget these things. There are many things I don't forget. He said to me, Glenn, yes, boy, we get tin cop. I said, what are you telling me? He said, yes. He said he know the government is getting shaft. But the problem is that the contractors are setting up these costs. And I listened to this man, and in my mind, I am contemplating, how do I answer him? And I did tell him, I said, man, this is the way you spending the taxpayers' dollars of this country. And it was then that I began to drift away. The friendship drifted away. But over the years prior to that, we were good friends. I don't have a problem with any political leaders, personally, Yog. I have a problem with our political leaders when they make bad deals, when they give away Guyana to contractors and friends and family, knowing that the nation, the masses of this nation, can barely find food to eat when the day comes. I had good relations with Robert Prasad. Robert Prasad is my friend. I went to China with him. We eat, we sleep, we drink, go to New York, we fly together, we talk all the time. Anil Nandlal, I could say the same thing about. Mr. Granger, I sat with him. I never met him. I sat with him an hour. We chit-chat. And I could go clearly and tell you what turned me away from Mr. Granger is when he had his first television program, on oil and gas. His words were, when he was asked about the oil company's corruption, he said, I don't believe that such a huge company like ExxonMobil would do anything to tarnish their character. I was in the office with the editorial staff, and when he said that, you don't want to know how we behaved in that editorial room. As a matter of fact, we used words to describe him as a schoolboy. And we said that this man is sailing. And
thank you, sir.
I find him to be a nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
Trotman, I have no problem with. Carl Greenwich, Joe Harmon. Joe Harmon used to come to my office and knock glass and drink. Joe Harmon used to come and I would sit down, put them to sit down and actually lecture to them as to what is going on in this country. And they really appreciated it. And when they get into power, when I thought I would have seen the kind of discussion we would have had, that changes or things would have done different in terms of better this nation. I wasn't seeing that, I'm just a regular citizen of this country. And I go through, I sit through every day in the editorial department of this Kaieteur News to discuss and debate the millions of stories we would have carried over 26 years. So I want you to understand, I want the leaders to understand. I want Guyana to understand that it is very painful to go out there and listen to people, to listen to their cries, to see how they live, to see what they eat. You know, I gave away over 12 truckload of hampers to people right across this country. I went myself on a few occasions, all in the back dams, and I see the punishment under which these people have to live. What they eat, they were so happy. I remember I went behind the back dam of Dr. Irfan Ali, our president. And you would be amazed, you'd be surprised. It is heartbroken to see how many hundreds of families didn't have nothing to eat. You didn't see a word of that in the Kaieteur news or on the radio.
Right.
I do not publicize these things. I don't like to talk about it.
Of course.
But you see, when you do things like this, and you go out and you really get to understand the people and how they live, and the kind of wealth we have, Dr. Yo, in this land, and what our leaders are doing with it, who are benefiting from it, I can't help it. I can't help it to react in a negative, rude fashion. I supported wholeheartedly a change in this land during Jagdev's tenure and the PP tenure. And when I saw the coalition went in there and how they behaved, Ram Chetan, Moses Nagmutu, all of them, the first thing I saw was Joe Harman sitting in a private jet in China. Come on, man. I said these people are not for real. They're actually, he said he went to collect the 5 million US that they didn't collect after 20% shares from GT&T that Guyana had owed and owned. That 5 million US was giving Guyana, not the 5 million. That 20% shares that Guyana had owned in GT&T used to give this country 2.5 million US dollars a year in dividends. Jagdeo them sell it out. We don't know who they sell it out to. And the money they sell it out to, I don't know what they did with it. And that couldn't bring in anything. So that's the kind of dealings. That's the things that and I can talk from now till doomsday, sir, about what is affecting me, affecting my staff, people who are close to me, people who understand what we do, our readers. How much more do we put up with? How much more do we take? Come on. I have no issue with politicians themselves. I have problems with them, with their actions and their dealings. So, am I very clear?
Gotcha. Thank you, Mr. Lall. Thank you. And yes, and viewers and listeners, let me remind you, you're on the Glenn Lall Show, where we listen, we participate, and we are being told as it is. Here is it where we say we tell it as it is. Mr. Lall, on Sunday you alerted, reminded, and educated a lot of persons about what's happening, some of the things that's happening and all. A couple of words stuck out to me, sir. Kaieteur block, Kanji block, and the fact you said that Yog and viewers and listeners, this thing is humongous. It is much more that we can talk about than we can talk about in one night. Sir, I would want to hand over this microphone to you to take us through some of what are the things we need to discuss with regards to oil and especially Kaieteur and Kanji block. But can we get it all done tonight, sir? I mean, both blocks. It might be impossible.
Brother Yo, the Kaieteur and Kanji block, for you to get everything out, it will take me an hour, about 6 months straight every day. Tonight, I am attempting to tell you and tell this nation about the Kanji block alone. I can't go into Kaieteur. It's too much. You see, the information is so much. It confuses me and my staff who deals with this thing on a daily basis. We sometimes get paranoid, is not a word, but we just say, man, let's go outside and stand up and take some breeze.
Right.
That's how heavy this thing is. You said something about, you said earlier that the oil block is huge. It's not huge. It's not, it is gigantic. The value of our oil can put Guyana beyond and better than Dubai. And this is no joke. It's just that our people do not understand what they have, the value. And tonight, I put together my thoughts and put it down on writing, in which I want to explain in simple layman terms the Kanji deal. The Kanji deal.
Yes.
And if you allow me, I can start.
Please do.
Thank you. Let me first give you the value, an estimated value of the Kanji block alone. It is estimated to hold 5.1 billion barrels of associated oil. You hear me that clear? 5.1 billion barrels. I'm not talking money there. I'm talking barrels. Just give me $5, $10 per barrel, and you work that in the billions of American dollars.
Correct.
You're a smart kid, you understand. There were 3 players that were responsible for giving away free, Brother Yo, that oil block. And the excuse they give us when questioned, I just want to tell you a part of the excuses for now. Later on as we go on, we'll talk about much more. But let me first identify the 3 people who were responsible for throwing away or giving away or hijacking Kanji oil block. A man named Newell Dennison. He was the head of the GGMC at the time. Robert Prasad, the Natural Resources Minister at the time, and former President Donald Ramatar. When they were questioned, here is what Dennison said. He knew the owners had no cash, but they will bring partner to kick in. Here what Robert said. He acted like a bridge between Dennison and Donald Ramatar, the president. And our president said, here read the contract. You figure it? You understand what I'm saying, Dr. Yob?
Yes, sir.
One said he know the people ain't got no money, but I'm gonna rely on somebody. One say he act like as a bridge, and the man was sign him, say he no read him. Dr. Yob, can you imagine what the shareholders of banks DIH or DDL would do to the chairman and managing directors of those companies if a clerk prepared a document for them to sign to give away one of their most lucrative branch in this country for free, and they sign it? What would you think the shareholders will do to Clifford Reese or Dr. Yasuprasad? I'm not hearing you.
Right, indeed.
I hope you're not sleeping
Indeed,
on me.
the shareholders would react very strongly to the directors. Directors and ministers and everybody are employed or appointed by voters and shareholders, so they're supposed to be servants to the people.
Thank you, sir. I thought you nodded away on me. Well, guys,
Not at all.
Guyana, that is what Mr. Ramotar, Mr. Robert Prasad, Mr. Dennison wants the people of this country to believe. That they just sign away. Before I move to tell you guys who got the oil block, when they got the oil block, how they get the oil block, and what they do with the oil block, let me tell you first. When Guyana discovered oil, myself and my staff began to educate ourselves about this oil sector. And the first thing I learned, Brother Yu, the very first thing I learned is that oil companies, when they come into your country, one, they first line the pockets of our politicians. The second thing they do, they make sure a few of the locals become filthy rich. And the third thing they do, and this is important, the third thing they do, they create chaos, confusion, and instability in your land. Don't forget it. The last one, they create chaos, confusion, and instability in your land.
And instability.
And while the people fight among themselves, guess what they do? They're fetching away
Of
your wealth.
course.
You hear that?
Yes, sir.
It is always good. It is always good, and I prepare this because it is important. It's always good for a nation to know a little bit of what happened to countries that has had oil and what became of them. I just want to give you guys a little rundown of some of the countries. In Chad, Brother Yogi, you with me?
Yes, sir.
I want to hear you. In Chad, a Central African nation with 16 million population, discovered oil in 1960. This is in 2020, which would takes it 60 years. The World Bank report last year says the oil wealth failed to produce the widespread poverty in our country. It is now, after 60 years, worse off than when they discovered oil. Guess who were their oil company?
Could Exxon have been one of them?
ExxonMobil. In Papua New Guinea, 8 million people found oil in 1986. 35 years now. Half of its population under the poverty line. The cause of that is reported as tensions and unrest between the citizens of that country and ExxonMobil. You hear me clear there?
Yes, sir.
As a matter of fact, they talk about a story that happened in 2012 in which 27 people died from a landslide caused by ExxonMobil. And guess what? Both ExxonMobil and the government of Papua New Guinea said that that was an act of God. You believe that? Not a single cent they took out to look after the families of those dead people. You get an idea what's happening?
Yes.
Let me move down a little more. In Angola, I'm going to come to Angola. In Uganda, 43 million people discovered oil in 2013, 7 years now. It still remains on the list of one of the poorest countries in the world. Mozambique, 32 million people. Oil and gas discovered in 2006. Today they are classified as the second poorest country in the world. Tanzania, 55 million people discovered natural gas in 1974. 46 years now. The World Bank report show half of that population, which is what? 27 million people? They're living daily with less than 300 Guyana dollar per day. Are you with me?
Wow. Amazing.
In Ghana, 30 million people discovered in 1996 oil. Quarter of the population is living in extreme poverty. We turn to Nigeria, 195 million people. Them struck oil in 1950. 70 years now, Dr. Yo. To this day, that country is listed as the most polluted country in that part of the world. And guess what,
Wow.
Dr. Yo? Half of its population, 92 million people, living under 400 Guyana dollar daily. ExxonMobil. Uganda, 7 years, still remains on the list of one of the poorest in the world too. And I can go on and on. But the radio
Of course.
people just allot me 30 minutes because they said they have programs. They give me 30 minutes on my own radio station. You believe that, yo? Now, there are
Well,
many
I
other
believe that.
countries. There are many other countries. You have Angola, Cameroon, Madagascar, Zimbabwe, Ethiopia, Senegal, Ivory Coast, Republic of Congo, several others. They're all messed up, living in extreme poverty because of corruption and their oil deals. Who
Correct.
it benefits? Who is benefiting from them? You have one girl, one president daughter. Her name is Isabella de Santos from where? From Angola?
I believe so.
I'm not certain maybe Angola. But she's the richest African you have. Her father was the president of the country, in the oil-rich country. She have so much money that she can lift many countries in Africa out of poverty. A matter of fact, her
Wow.
husband died. Her husband, father, seven, died just last week. We carried it in the newspaper. Whatever I've said there, Dr. Yo, these things are on social media, they're on the web. You don't have to go to university to jump on the computer, Google them, ask your questions, and read everything is there. It is clear.
Thank you. Mhm. So, Mr. Lall, if I may, just before we get further into it, so you have listed, and thank you for that, you have listed quite a number of countries here and the bad experiences after so many years in oil. And at the other end of the spectrum, there is the Saudi Arabia. On the other end of the spectrum, there are the countries who have done well. So, Mr. Lall, what is the distinctive difference between the Nigerias and the Chads and the PNGs versus Saudi Arabia, sir?
I am so happy that you asked that question. I thank you. Why would only certain set of countries strive, benefit significantly from their resources? Yo, that's a very simple question. They have leaders with integrity. They have leaders who love their people. They have smart leaders, and most importantly, they don't have selfish and greedy leaders. That's why and we will talk a little more on that. The spider web. I learned something just on the
Yes, sir.
spider web. We'll talk about that. But the question you asked,
Yes.
Saudi Arabia and Kuwait and Norway and some of the countries. First of all, you gotta look at who are these people and why they weren't treated the way others are being treated. You hear that?
Mhm.
Read through the line and
Yes,
you will
sir.
understand what I'm saying.
Correct.
When you have corrupt leaders, when you have leaders who are ready to open their pocket, pull up their skirt, pull down their pants, this is what happens. When they're ready to grab up everything for themselves, brother yo, this is what happens. The people suffer.
Right.
The people suffer. Your next question you may want to ask, is Guyana going to become one of those countries?
Yes.
One of those
I was
African
going to ask
countries?
which side of the spectrum would Guyana
That's
fall?
a beautiful question. And I want all Guyana to understand. Guyana, we were able to spot the weaknesses, the corruption, and the greediness in leaders very early. Hence, I have decided to come on this radio I told you today that I think I can speak on the radio every single day about what and how we can bring about a difference. We can achieve. We can succeed. We are not far too gone. Those countries are far too gone. We are not far too gone. We are already in the tangled web. We can get out and we can benefit. But we
But
have to
Mr.
have
Lall,
leaders.
one of the questions that viewers would have been sending in is that going with what you said earlier, and I would like if you could deal with it a little bit more. You use the word free, that the kanji block was given out for free. Did I hear that right, or is something wrong with my ears, sir? That it was actually free and the Guyana did not get anything from that deal, from the inception of that deal, sir?
Free as in free. Yes, yes, sir. Free as in free. Free as in free. And I'll explain. Give me some time, let me get down there and explain.
Sure.
Is that okay with you?
Yes, sir.
I think our listeners should grab a pen and a piece of paper. I think they should. Because I'm about to tell you a sweet story. And the story I am going to tell you is that I want you to pen it, make notes, so you can look back at it down the road and dot the lines and cross the T, and you draw your own conclusion. What I want to tell you, I just want to say to this nation, don't allow the leaders of this country to get away with this. Speak up, stand up, let your voices be heard. Here we go, you.
Yes, sir.
Like I said earlier, I painted a little picture here. The kanji block was given out by 3 players. You remember the name. Dennison, Robert Prasad, and former President Ramatar. This block, Brother Hero, was issued to a company named Mid-Atlantic Inc. You make a note of that?
Yes.
Mid-Atlantic Inc. This company was incorporated. It was set up on March 4th, 2015 by 2 persons. One man named Yuli Nelson and another one named Nicholas Chomasang. And don't let the Nicholas Chomasang fool you that there's some foreign Chinese man. They are both Guyanese. A matter of fact, Yuli Nelson worked at the trust company, the insurance trust company,
Yes.
as a general manager for years, and Chomasang worked at,
The Department of Energy.
here we go, the Department of Energy. You hear that?
Interesting. So a person from within the Department of Energy
Beautiful.
is one of the players.
Beautiful. Read through the line. Read through the line. You hear when I set up the company? When the company was handed? 4th of March 2015. And it was handed to the 2 of them. Chokasang and Nelson had no expertise, no experience, and no cash on hand. In short, these guys were broke and penniless. You hear that? Out of nowhere.
Yes, sir.
Out of nowhere came a man named Edris Kamal Duki. Listen to me carefully. Edris Kamal Duki So now we have three players. And you need to listen to this carefully, you. Chakasang, Yuli Nelson's name remained on the document. But Kamal Duki became the owner of all the shares in the company.
Wow.
You hear that?
Mm-hmm.
A man named Kamal Duki appeared from nowhere. The two names left in the company, and he owned all the shares. This Mid-Atlantic, it's important to note these things. Mid-Atlantic Inc. was incorporated on April 8, 2013. 1 month before that company was registered, the players them sent in the oil block application. You understand what I'm saying?
1 month before it was registered.
They sent in the application for the oil block before them even set up the company. You understand what I'm telling you there?
Wow.
On March 4th, say March 4th, 2015, 6 weeks before the 2015 elections, President Ramotar, Robert Prasad, and Newell Dennison granted the Kanji oil block to these penniless people. Your ears is open, Guyana. Listen to this. 4 days after the election, the company Mid-Atlantic got the block. Them transfer all the shares into a company called JHI Associates. You have to keep your mind all the time on companies, and companies. It's very important. This company was registered here on the 4th of May, 7 days before the election. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
I'm saying that the oil block grant was given a couple of weeks prior to the election. 4 days, this man set up this company before election. And 4 days after the election, listen to this, 4 days after the election, them transfer the shares to the company was set up 4 days before the election. I'm not hearing you. You're not sleeping by chance.
Yes. No. I'm making some notes actually.
Thank you. Thank you. As soon as the transfer happened, them chaps didn't even duck their finger in the Atlantic Ocean, You understand this? They didn't even duck their finger, their little finger, in the Atlantic Ocean where the Kanji oil block is. Them chaps begin selling. Them began to sell the oil blocks. Guess who the first buy-in? Guess who the first man grabbed? ExxonMobil. They buy 35% and then become the operator. You understand?
Yes.
You know what's the operator, right?
Yes.
In layman terms.
So all of this would have been happening in the transition.
Wait. In layman terms, the operator is that you give him a brand new Mercedes Benz, a beggar, and the beggar sell a piece of the car, and now the beggar own piece of the car, 35% of the car, and you make he the driver. That's in the layman terms what it means. The money, wait. We don't know how much that 35%, how much money they collected, how much hundreds of millions in US dollars or billions in US dollars. We don't know how much it was sold for. What we know, Dr. Yog Mahadeo, is that Guyana didn't get nothing. You follow me, bro?
Yes.
Then later on, them sell another 35% of the block to another oil giant named Total, a French company. Again, we know how much millions, we know how much billions in US. Them sell it. But Guyana got what? What Guyana got?
Nothing.
I just use a nice word in the editorial room. Guyana whole wood. Or I don't know the meaning, but I would like to use the word. Laura. So in total, they sell 70% of the Kanji oil block. And we got nothing. Guess what? The original owners that set up the company here, JHI Associates, and the Mid-Atlantic, them keep the 30% for themselves. Are you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What did Guyana get out of this, fellow Guyanese? Ask your political leaders. Not even a blind cent Guyana sent. And let me tell you this. It's important for you guys to know. JHI did not only register in Guyana. They registered in the British Virgin Islands, a place that is known for financial secrecy. Listen, if you want to do skullduggery and you want to do business, tax haven, yes, that's the word. If you want to thief and rob and hide, go register a company there and start it there. Yeah? It's basically for hide.
Mm-hmm.
They hide the money and they hide the transactions from guess who? The Guyanese people. Dr. Yog, Guyanese. Had we put that block on the international market by way of tender body, Guyana would have been already rich with hundreds of millions of American dollars. Guess what happened? Think about what I said there. Had this oil block went on the open market for tendering, we would have already raked in hundreds, if not billions of US dollars. It has 5.1 billion. And that is only what they are telling us. We don't know. We don't even have a grass knife for cut rice. We can find instrument to measure the oil they have there. With what I have seen, what we have seen so far in the oil industry, so far from the players within the last couple of years, not a single word or sentence that come out from the leaders and the oil companies' mouth you should take as gospel. I believe in my heart that not a line is true and correct from them. They started off by telling the Star block have 8 billion, then they moved to 9 billion. This they say 5 billion. These things have beyond. In my own heart tells me that Kaieteur, Kanji block alone has in excess of 30 billion barrel of oil. And nobody can dispute me unless we bring somebody separately from government and pay, and let's go do the survey, the seismic survey or whatever they call it. right? But it
Mm-hmm.
gone in the hands of penniless people. And Guyana got, you remember the words. Well, let me tell the people this. And this is important. When Kaieteur News contacted Nicholas Chongasang about his role he played in Mid-Atlantic, the company that he and Yuli Nelson set up, the man behaved as if he had Alzheimer's disease. He told my reporter that that was many, many years ago and that he can't remember. You hear what I'm saying?
Yep. Now, if
Wait,
when you're
wait,
ready, we have some questions.
wait. Write down your questions. Imagine an oil block worth billions of US dollars granted to a company you set up. For years now, we have been writing every day in, day out about these oil blocks. You ain't say nothing. When a reporter brackle you, you suddenly get Alzheimer. You can't remember. And that is what this man is telling this nation. He can't remember. What a Guyana. Beautiful Guyana we live in. When his partner was contacted, Yuli Nelson, guess what he said? When we asked him his role as to what he played, the man tell the reporter, he got earache. The traffic is too loud, loud, loud. I can't hear. I will call you back. We are still waiting to this date for that call back. And we are still waiting for him to answer his phone because we have been calling him quite some time now to no avail. You hear the excuses?
Yeah.
What up, Guyana, bro? This is Guyana, man. I love this country, you know. I love this country. As for the man at the moment, Edris Kamal Duki. Well, all Guyanans call him Kamal Duki. I know him well. We take a drink now and again. He's always a pleasant guy, nice guy. His mouth full of sugar. He could talk. We have a cordial relationship. All of his phones, when we call, going to voicemail. Hear that? As for Dennison said in a report, a document that we were able to put our hands on, in which he spoke to Sarah. The officers there would have interviewed him. The man tell them he knew the people had no cash and they were penniless. And he said how he partnered them, gone back you up. So he had no problem recommending the oil block to the company. And here, the extra pieces that Robert Prasad gave. He said, I did not sign the contract. Donald did. He also said he relied on the report prepared by Dennison and his team at GGMC. This is the Minister of Natural Resources, you know. This is the minister who in charge, you know, of all our natural resources, is telling this nation that he acted on the reports presented by some GGMC officials. It's like, it's like a security guard Glenn Lall said he acted on the advice of a security guard in which I signing away half a Kaieteur news. You buy that, right? Glenn Lall allow a security guard to make out a contract, and I sign it to give you half a Kaieteur news. And said that I rely on the report from him. He said he acted. He also said he acted as a bridge between GGMC and Donald Ramatar. I wanted to ask him which bridge, if it's the Demerara Bridge or the Borbridge Bridge he was standing on when he acted like the bridge between Ramatar and Denison. But I didn't get a chance to ask him. I will one day. And all Guyana should ask him that question. He said, he went further to say that he didn't know who were the owners that received the oil blocks and that he never met them. Are you with me? Somebody's listening to me. Somebody's listening to the crap that our leaders are telling this nation. He didn't know the owners. He never met them. He said he saw the lawyers who signed on behalf of the owners, but can't remember them too when asked. Dr. Yog, you know, wake up. You're sleeping on me there.
No, I'm here.
You are sleeping on me, Guyana. This is the man who is back in the seat, sitting as foreign minister, foreign secretary, who happens to be the gatekeeper now as we speak, now as I speak, for all the foreign players coming in this country have to go through him on any deal that is to sign now. He said on the Kanji oil block that he didn't know the owners, he never meet them. And he can't remember the lawyers who signed on behalf of them. What do you say, Guyana? I am not hearing you, Dr. Yo. I think I have my very reliable and smart kid here next to me. I miss one of them, Kiana Wilberg. And I have Kimal King with me here. Wonderful kid. Brilliant kid. I have him sitting next to me because he would have looked back at what I wanted to say, because he understands fully everything that I'm saying here. What do you say, Kimal, as a citizen of this country?
I say I want to know where my money went.
I thank you. I think everybody wants to know who and where our money is. That money belongs to us. That oil block belongs to us. And of course, I would have mentioned the one and only President Ramatar excuse for giving away the oil block so close to the election. Hear what he said additionally to what I said earlier. The man said he had plenty file. No, he said he had a few files left on his desk, and he wanted to clear up his desk. He didn't read. He said he didn't read the contract, but he acted, and this is important, Guyana. He acted on the advice of the one and only Robert M. Prasad, the Natural Resources Minister at the time. There you go, Guyana.
Right.
There you go, Guyana. I must let you know that the Kaieteur News has written to Donald Ramatar and Robert Prasad 2 weeks now. asking them to explain the rationale, bro. The rationale behind them giving away the Kanji oil blocks and the Kaieteur to this nation so we can report that. To date, we are still waiting to hear a response from them. After years of exposing the secrecy behind the hijacking of our oil blocks, this is key. This is very important, Guyana. You need to listen to this carefully. Kaieteur News reported so many years about our oil blocks, about our gold, our diamond, our timber, our bauxite resources. Guess who speak? Guess who came out finally and spoke? The former president and now vice president, Bharat Jagdeo. He held a press conference last week. During the press conference, you know what this guy said to this nation? No laws were broken. No corruption was involved. And in his defense of the oil blocks giveaway, he said he would make sure that the owners pay their fair share of taxes. My God. My God, you said, you begin this program by saying that I have something personally against these people. How can I not? How can I not hold these people personally responsible for the people's wealth, for our wealth? But he gonna make sure that the owners pay their fair share of taxes. Did you hear that, Guyana? And hear what Joseph Harmon, the leader of the opposition, said. After the meeting office, this man held 4 press conferences. When we questioned him about the oil blocks, he told the reporters that he has to put together his oil team to have a special press conference to answer the questions. At the second press conference he held, he said, when questioned again, he's still putting together that oil team to speak. The third press conference, the man told my reporter that the Kaieteur News know more than them and that he will wait for more information on the Kaieteur News and then he can speak. Yog, in the beginning, Dr. Yog, Brother Yog, you asked me about holding things personally against these people. These are our leaders. And this is their attitude and behavior and words and the kind of defense they're putting up. I would have shown you some of the countries how they suffer. When I hear these type of comments, when I hear these type of excuses, this kind of crap and nonsense coming from their mouth, how can I be nice, as a citizen of this country? Kimal? How can you?
You can't.
Kevin? Huh? Well, Dr. Yu. Well, I want Mr. Jagdeo to hear me and hear me loud. I want Mr. Jagdeo to hear my staff, some of my friends, and all Guyana, because I'm certain they will agree with me, want to hear us loud. I speak every day because I feel people's pain. My staff watch me every day. I watch them every day, how they live. And they don't deserve to live like this, with the kind of wealth, this God-given wealth that we were blessed with. This nation deserves to live a better life, Dr. Jagdeo. No Guyanese, Dr. Yo, should be snatching handbags, snatching gold chain, or snatching umbrella in the streets. No, 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 no. No, Brother Yob, no. We all deserve to live a beautiful life, one better than the people in Dubai. So I say to you, Mr. Jagdeo, to you, Mr. Harman, and to you, Dr. Irfan Ali, our president, the people don't need to hear about them paying their fair share of taxes. We need our oil-given blocks back in our hands so that we can put them in the open market, in which we can rake in our own hundreds of millions in US dollar. And still, Dr. Yo, and still collect our fair share of taxes from them. What do you now say, Guyana? Are you with me? Are you with me? And this is only, I'm going to stop here, Dr. Yo. This is only part.
Yes,
This is only a part of this same story. I can speak a whole 6 months on this same story. About many other companies that were set up and who are the players in it. If you want to give you a little synopsis, I can right now. I have the time? Guys, do I have the time? Dr. Yo, I have the time? Or you want us to take some calls?
Yes, you do. You do have the time. I would like to encourage everybody who wants to call in that please gear yourself up. We can take call. We are open for your calls, for your expression of concern, or for your questions. As Glenn Lall would have said on Sunday, we maybe cannot answer your question immediately, but we can surely investigate and come back with an appropriate answer the next time we're on air.
You want me to give you a little piece more and hold back the rest, or
Yes,
stop for there? You tell me.
Well, I would like.
It's a lot.
No, I would like now that we have dealt with the Kanji block, Mr. Lal. I would like to ask get some clarification from you, if you don't mind.
Yes.
You and your team would have seen a number of things played out. So on one hand, there is the giveaway of the Kanji block, as you said. The dates you called were extremely informative to this country, and that is the dates all hovered just before or immediately after the 2015 election.
Yes.
Immediately after the 2015 elections, Mr. Lal and Kimal, a new government came in place.
Okay.
That is the government of APNO AFC.
Mm-hmm.
Did the APNO AFC not see, hear, were they deaf, blind, and dumb to what was happening? Because this entire JHI matter, thereon and therefrom, happened under a new government's watch. What's your comment there, sir?
I can take that question.
Lucky
So,
Yes.
Kaieteur News has shown in its reporting how the APNU AFC coalition government, it not only knew what was going on, but it was complicit in the giveaway. So, Mr. Lall would have explained to you how after the companies received the blocks, they started to sell out shares very quickly. Now, what happens is, if a company wants to sell a stake in a block to another company, the government has to peruse that application and then they have to approve it. So every single transfer of stakes occurred under the David Granger administration. So you can infer right there and then that they knew what was happening and they allowed it to happen.
Thank you.
What do
Kimal,
you-
a follow-up question. So
What-
we'll come back to the...
What do you say about that? You talked about them being blind, dumb and deaf. They knew. They knew all along what's playing out, but they were just riding along. And that,
Well,
and it is
riding along
important,
versus being...
and it is important that the Guyanese people understand that it's not a PPP alone. They were all involved and knew everything. And these are the kind of answers they're giving us today. Go ahead.
Yes. So, Kimal, to follow up there, that is shocking because the Guyanese people would have put a new government in office to ensure that whatever they were dissatisfied with pre-2015 could have been corrected. However, that is history. The problem with it being history, Mr. Lall and Kimal, is can we do anything to turn back the hands of the clock? We have lost that kanji block. Kimal, I have also seen online that JHI Associates Inc. is a company that has been registered also in Ontario, Canada. And JHI, Mr. Lall, would have sold 3% of its shares to Westmount Energy Limited. So I bring that point because at the top of the program, Mr. Lall, you mentioned the web. This web of companies after companies after companies. Mr. Lall and Kimal, my question to you, sir, you may not be able to answer me now, but sirs, can the courts of Guyana be approached with a request to raise the corporate veil? Let us see the players and let us bring the players to light.
I think you fit quite a few questions in there all at once, Yog. Okay,
Yes.
I'll answer first. You asking whether Ghana can get back what we lost. There are many industry experts and political commentators and anti-corruption watchdogs who have noted the explicit corruption red flags which exhibit themselves in the cases of the Kanji and the Kaieteur block awards. And they've said that what is happening with these blocks, it informs the government what it needs to conduct an independent forensic investigation into what's happening so they can find out where the money was lost. What political commentators have also pointed out is that there are several illegalities that would have transpired in the giveaway of these blocks. The vice president, he has his own opinion of that no laws were broken.
Dr. Yo, Dr. Yo,
Yes, sir.
whether we can get it back, whether we can recover it, I think that will be a matter for the lawyers and more so the people of this country. If the people wants to sit down quiet and allow this to happen to them, if the people want to go cut cane and plant rice, sugar, brother, what else can I say? What can we do? I don't know. In my heart, I believe, yes, we can. Yes, we can. We have not lost all, and I want the people to understand that. We have not lost out on all of Kanji or the Kaieteur blocks. Okay? We can rake in a lot more. But I am just talking about we are just dealing with one aspect of this Kanji and this Kanji block or the rest of blocks. We are dealing with them just collect it in their hands and sell, and they collect that money. That's only one aspect we're dealing with. There are several aspects to this thing. They are,
Uh-huh.
we assign no, we just give them, they sell it, we assign no production sharing agreement with
Right.
them. Okay? That will rake in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
With this, having exposed this, right? We can demand tax, oh, now we can demand real taxes from them to recover,
Mm-hmm.
to recover what we would have lost in the sale of the block. You follow what I'm saying?
Correct.
There's much more to
Yes.
garner. We can get a lot more. Whether we can recover
Yes.
that
Let me.
that portion of it that was sold, the block itself
Uh-huh.
that was sold, that we don't know. I'm not certain. I think we can. We can
But
recover. We can get the money back.
but hold,
Wait,
but hold a minute. So to you
don't
and
wait, wait,
Kimal,
wait, wait,
Kimal.
wait, you. We can. I believe in my heart we can get that. But we have to do some digging and daggling and a lot more we can talk about that. But you talk about JHI Canada. I did talk about it. They
Yes.
transferred the shares from Mid Atlantic to JHI Guyana. Then JHI took it from here, transferred to JHI Canada, and all the transactions passing through GHI British Virgin Islands. It's a web. And what a web we weave. I think you understand that
Mm-hmm.
that saying. Spider web.
Mm-hmm.
Spiders make the web.
So
And they make web
right.
to catch the food. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Mafia.
Correct.
Mafia does it the same way. When they set about to kill, they use one to the next, to the next, to the next, and then they set the kill.
Mm-hmm.
Oil companies, Dr. Yo, set up their own web. They act, they behave like the tangle web. Lies, lies, more lies, many lies, until they capture
Right.
your
So-
countries. Then there are some other names that come in. A Desmond Roberts, who's a director, and he's a director of the Mid-Atlantic Deepwater Exploration Company too. You have Glenn Lochi, a director and a managing director of the said glass company. And if you recall, Glenn Lochi was also in Mid-Atlantic. He's also in the Mid-Atlantic Deepwater Exploration. So it's a ton of them just dancing in a ring with different companies that will grab up every aspect of the oil sector. Dr. Yog, you back?
Yes, I'm back.
Were you able to hear what I said?
I heard a bit. And Mr. Lall, I know we have moved on to discussing of some of the subsequent events and the subsequent companies. Can I just take you and Kimal back a little bit?
Yes.
All right, just a couple of things. Kimal, and I want to refer readers, viewers and listeners, and readers of the Kaieteur Radio, it is important that you get on to Kimal King's article of September 29, 2020, in which Kimal King outlined the 12 major corruption red flags. And you would find that many of the things Mr. Lall is saying here tonight resonates and fits well with something that has been publicly published in the newspapers. That is also, I'm telling you that because it is also published on the petroleumworld.com page, that article with the red flag. So it is there internationally. Kimal, just I want to quickly follow up on the same DHI and those shares behind shares before we close up our discussion. And that is a matter of capital gain, Kimal, and reassessment, value reassessment. Now, and Kimal, as a reporter, I want to direct this to you and then Mr. Lall's comments. And that is as follows. If Mr. Lall buys a property today and he sells that property tomorrow, the income tax people is going to assess that property independently to see whether there was an under the table handshake. And if the income tax people finds that there was something untoward with that deal, they are going to put market value on that deal and charge you the rates applicable on market value. Kimal, has there been in your reportage and your investigation any attempts by the local authorities to investigate these transactions? Forget on one hand that the government gave it away for free, but to investigate. And second part to that question, Kimal, when JHI would have sold part of its shares to another company, it ought to have disclosed values for which it sold, and there is a capital gains tax or there are taxes on it. Over to you, sir.
Dr. Yu, let me answer that question.
Yes, sir.
What the nation needs to understand on taxes, when I talked earlier about no taxes, you have to understand that when the oil block was sold, it wasn't sold here. It wasn't sold in Guyana. It was transferred from Mid-Atlantic to JHI Associates, Guyana. I want you to understand me clearly. Then JHI went and got the approval. Well, I'm not certain. But they had to get the approval of the government of the day to transfer the shares to their JHI in Canada. I don't know if any approval was granted, and I'm not certain. But if any approval was granted, then our government erred big time. So what happened there, when they transfer it now to Canada, Canada now put it on the open market and they sell it. So Guyana gets nothing. Mm-hmm. That's the first part of your question. The second part you asked was capital gains. Well, if the thing wasn't sold here, Guyana had nothing to get.
Right.
And can I also pitch in there? In addition to the giveaway of the oil blocks, the government also felt that they needed to give extremely generous provisions to the contractors. And so one of the generous provisions that they gave was that they granted them a permanent waiver of all taxes. So if there was a capital gains tax to be had, we have already relinquished that right.
So repeat that, please. It is on all taxes, not just on income tax.
On all taxes, yes.
The contract, the agreement, the people are entitled to sell, buy, bring, take out, do whatever they want to do, tax-free. So don't talk about taxes. The same thing goes with ExxonMobil. ExxonMobil is tax-free in every single thing. As a matter of fact, with ExxonMobil, it is worse. We pay in ExxonMobil taxes. We. You know, you in a nutshell, let's say they make $5 profit, and $2.50 for you and $2.50 for me. Not both parties got to pay tax. Well,
correct.
Out of me $2.50, me tell ExxonMobil me go pay the tax. ExxonMobil have to pay $50. Let's use a figure, $50 tax.
Yeah.
Glenn say he can pay the $50. So instead, Glenn get $2. And the people walk away with them full $2.50. That's the agreement we have. Yo, this thing is so huge. This thing is so gigantic that every
And
aspect of this
incestuous.
thing we can spend 2 hours talking,
Mhm.
right? So
Yep. Yep.
where it comes to taxes, and guess what? Guess what? The the subsidiaries of these companies, they also fall under the same waivers. They too
Mhm.
can bring in anything. It's like what the PPP did with Baishalin. Baishalin nearly come and take over Guyana. And I still feel they come back to take over Guyana. Every single thing from the sun to the earth, they can bring here duty free. They pay no taxes. They rake in your gold, they take in whatever your timber, they pay no taxes. And they getting concession. But you don't even want to go to concession galore. Because
Right.
listen,
Yeah.
right now my head is hurting to talk about concession galore and waiver of taxes. Can we take 2, 3 calls? Or you have any more
Yes.
question, Dr. Yo?
No, no, not at this stage. We can take a couple of calls.
All right. Guys, the phone line's open. Could you repeat what's the phone? 22 226 7453. 226 7453. You can call.
And in the meantime, the calls are coming in. And, viewers and listeners, remember that this is the Glenn Lall show in which Mr. Lall tells it as it is. We can ask questions, we can see clarifications, and remember that everything discussed here, would have been published, would have been discussed, would have been placed in public domain. There is nothing here that has an ulterior motive, or there is nothing here that seeks to have an ulterior motive. The ultimate aim is that, let me put it this way, the ultimate aim is that long after Mr. Granger and Mr. Jagdeo and Mr. Glenn Lall and Mr. Yog Mahadeo are gone, long after we are gone from this planet, our children and grandchildren and great-grand still supposed to be benefiting from oil. But the way things have gone on, it might be done by the time we are done. And that is the sad truth.
Right now, a matter of fact, tomorrow we are carrying a story. All right, hold. We have a call on. You cut off? All right. The caller lost. All right, so tomorrow we are carrying a story, the lead story about. You have another one? Okay, we take the call.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Please go ahead, caller.
Yes, sir. Good night to you all, folks. I've been listening to the program since day one.
Thank you.
I hope Mr. Lall is listening to this program. Huh? I hope Mr. Lall is listening to this program.
Well, that's a question we can't answer. Well, go ahead. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. You must
I
have a little
hope-
concern.
I hope they will bring these people to justice. I hope they could bring these people to justice.
Well, I hope so myself, sir. I've said that. I hope that we can reclaim some of the things that went wrong, and we can look back and see how we can work on them differently.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you. Mr. Lall, a question for you in the meantime, another caller coming in. Would or could we, should we expect the government of the day to come clean and say, listen, here is where we are, here is where we went wrong, here is the remediatory measures we're putting in place to correct this, but going forward, not another well, not another block, not another drill will be done in secrecy. That's number one. And two, without looking after the right of the Guyanese people.
Well,
Sounds good saying it.
Well, we can only hope that these guys change change has to come about, you. And change can only come about from the voices of the people. And the reason, the reason why I have decided to come on the radio, I never wanted to come on the radio because for some reason, I felt shy, nervous, and I said, you know what, I'm doing a pretty good job with the newspaper. But when I continue to hear people talk in the streets every day and stuff like that, I said, no, Glenn Lall, you have to make up your mind and get on the radio and explain this to the people. When the people understand it in the layman's term, because it's very difficult to read. I've talked to intelligent people who read the Kaieteur news. They read the story and don't even understand the story. But when I explain it to them, they say, oh my God. So that's the reason why I have decided to come and create this program, to explain to all Guyana, very simple, what's taking place. And I would love to sit down and have my people, have the leaders sit down and let's say, hey, listen, you guys going wrong there. Let's do it this way. What about this way?
Mm-hmm.
But it is all up to them. They have to make the move.
Correct. Correct.
And stop dancing.
Correct. And on that, mm-hmm. Correct. And on that note, let me also express an open invitation. While this is the Glenn Lall show, as a voice of the people of Guyana, I want to just call on the two former natural resources ministers and the current one to please consider coming on this show and explaining, sharing information, or taking our questions with regards to our extractive industries, particularly oil. Mr. Robert Prasad, Mr. Raphael Trotman, and Mr. Bharat. Open invitation extended to you, sir. I am inviting you on behalf of the people of Guyana. I know Mr. Lall would have invited you formally from the Kaieteur radio perspective and as the owner of the Glenn Lall show. But we look forward to being joined by you three gentlemen at your convenience, but as early as possible.
Thank you for that. I hope we can get them to come. And let's talk. Call you on the air. Get off. 226-7453. 226-7453. Dr. Yog, that's my aim, is to get them to come clean and let's talk, let's chat.
We have another caller on the line.
Correct.
Yes, good evening, gentlemen. Mr. Lall, Dr. Yog Mahadeo, good night, sir.
Good night.
I have a issue been tickling my mind for the longest while. I don't know if Mr. Lall could answer this question. I think we've been to school around the same years, but I don't know if I went in the same class. Here what this thing is about. This oil business. Now, the Kanchi block was last signed, I think, but what happened was the Exxon people went against the advice to sign over the last block, and they went ahead and built a ship. I'm going in pieces of this story because I can't remember the whole thing. But they went ahead and they built this second FPTO or FTPO, and they have it assembled in Singapore, whichever country building it, right? Thing about it is, we pay for that ship. Guyana pay for that ship to come to Guyana and do the oil business. And at the end of 2 years, that ship, it's a lease to Guyana. We pay for it and it's being leased to us. Then after 2 years, that ship going back to be owned by Exxon. I can't understand the math. I know that if I buy something, it belongs to me. It ain't got to be leased to me. I pay for it. It don't belong to nobody else. How come at the end of the day, this lease what it's supposed to be having going to expire, and then it belongs back to the guy that I buy it from?
I hear you.
Mr. Lall, I don't know how you could answer the question.
I hear you.
This thing keeping me brain to the longest while.
I hear you. My first answer to you there on Guyana paying for the FPSO. The FPSO, an FPSO is the floating ship that holds the oil as it come up. It's a huge tanker. Put it this way. It's a very huge tanker. But to the caller, he asking who pays. It's a beautiful question. Guyana pays for every single thing. This thing, I don't even want to get into that realm of it. Guyana pays for every single thing. If ExxonMobil buy a thread, Guyana pays for it. If ExxonMobil fart, Guyana pays for it. Every plane ticket, every minibus, every taxi, if they buy a pound of apple, if they buy a pound of beef, everything Guyana pays for. It comes out of...
Under that principle, Mr. Lall.
Wait, I'm coming. As to the FPSO, Guyana is paying for that. But here is the thing. ExxonMobil and the oil companies are allowed to invest, to use their money to buy the FPSO or to lease the FPSO. They're the ones who are doing it, not us. But they were supposed to get the approval for every spending from Guyana. And this is a huge issue we have here, in which Guyana basically is closing their eyes as to these type of spendings. The first FPSO came here, cost us, what, $2 billion? Almost $2 billion US dollars. And we had no say. The second one, when they talk about it, we put them on a hold to talk. The people went ahead and danced around, and the next thing you know, approval was granted. Exactly. So they are bringing in these things at an enormous cost.
Total disregard.
No. It's not total disregard, my friend. They have to get the approval. Somebody has to sign that approval. But the approval is given in a secret fashion.
Uh-huh.
So the bill, when they hand us a bill, we're stuck with that. You got to shut up and take that. Pay that. That's a beautiful question. Thank you.
Is Mr. Gildari there?
No. Next.
Oh, okay then. So.
Thank you.
This thing be real bad, Mr. Lall. I mean, how could we buy something and don't own it, and then?
Man, I just explained that, bro. I just explained that.
When the opposition, when the no opposition was in power, and they did things, and the PVP asked them where the proof is and where the bills are, what they say? Take it or leave it.
No, they're giving you the bill. They're giving you the bill. Don't worry, you will get the bill. The bill must be submitted, and you don't want to hear the bill part story. That might send you to sleep right away, or make you pick up a bottle, vodka if you drink, and drink and get drunk and sleep. So let's talk another day. Thanks.
Yes.
Give somebody else a chance. Yeah, let's go.
We can do a whole program.
Yes, caller.
I was saying we can do a whole program dedicated to talking about the costs that they would have to recover.
One program? I think I could talk a year on that alone. Yeah. You got anybody else? So, Dr. Yoke? Dr. Yoke?
Yes, sir.
The caller asked a very nice question. Very interesting. It's when I think about it, I get a little headache on it. You know, it's like me and you in business, and I am the spender. Let's say we're in the gold business, and you just put in your money, and I am buying everything for the business. And when I done, I come and hand you the bill. I can spend $1 million. And when I come, I hand you a bill for $70 million. And guess what, you?
Right.
You can't question me. That's another aspect of the oil industry.
That's
yes.
right.
Yes, caller, you here? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, Dr. Yu. You hear that?
Yes, sir.
Imagine I
Yes.
hand you bills. Me and you in business. I handing you bills. And I don't have to give you any satisfaction as to how and what I spend on. All I come and say, hey, I buy this tractor and I buy this bulldozer that cost me $100 million. I hand you the bill and you have to pay. You have to pay it. And you don't want to know the reason behind why you have to pay. You want to hear it? Do you want to hear that?
I am sure we'll get down to it, Mr. Lall. Let me remind viewers and listeners that you are in tune to Kaieteur Radio, and this is the Glenn Lall Show where we tell it as it is. The discussion tonight has focused primarily on the Kanji block. There are many, many discussion points on this entire oil saga, sad saga it has been so far for Guyana. And ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be back on Friday night. And we're going to expand the discussion on Friday night. Those of you who would like to call in, please get your questions ready. So when you call in, we can accommodate a lot more calls. It's late. I know a lot of persons are saying it's quite late now. So we are going to try to wrap up with some comments from Mr. Lall. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be back on Friday. On Friday, we are hoping to spend more time accommodating your questions so that we can have the weekend to deliberate on it. And again, we start a new week. The topic has been oil. The topic will be oil. And the topic continues to be oil. And the concern is what's in it for the small man, the real people of this country. Mr. Lall, your comments, sir, as we seek to wrap up the program.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Yu. Just add to what you just said about oil. If there are other questions you have on the other resources, I think we can try to answer some of your questions. I just want to tell Guyana, all Guyana, thank you for listening. I hope that whatever came out here tonight, it would have been enlightened and informed. I hope we can together work and help to get Guyana into a place where all of us can have a beautiful life. Thank you. Kimal?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lall. Mr. Kimal King, your comments?
I just wanted to impress that I'm very happy that Mr. Lall made the decision to come on the radio to do this program. He had explained that when we write, we reach people, but there are some things that you can only get people to hear and listen once you tell it to them. And so I am extremely proud of the show, and I want to congratulate my publisher for taking on this initiative.
Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me thank you all for joining us. Remember, you can always revisit, relook, and re-listen to this entire program that's on the Kaieteur Radio website, on the Kaieteur Radio Facebook page, and on Kaieteur Radio YouTube. You can always review it, send in your questions. You can WhatsApp us, you can write to us, you can call us. We are always available for your questions. And please tune in again on Friday night for the Glenn Lall Show with no other than Mr. Glenn Lall and hopefully Kimal, and hopefully also will be joined by Kiana Wilberg, who has written a lot of beautiful articles on this entire topic. It's been great to have you here, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Lall, thank you very much. Mr. King, thank you very much. And to the technical team at Kaieteur Radio, thank you all for doing a great job. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great night, and we'll see you back on Friday night. In the meantime, tomorrow's newspaper will have a synopsis of what would have been our discussion here today. So do pick it up and keep in tune, keep in tab of what's being discussed. The oil belongs to each and every one of you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good night.